lot of tennis, 2 hours a day,
Oh, wow.
tennis. Yeah.
So it's the tennis, and then are you still on a diet of whiskey and chicken nuggets?
Whiskey, but not much chicken nuggets. Yeah. Whiskey still.
So the reason why we're also having this is, me brand new starting the show again. And
Yeah.
I asked the community to vote who to interview first. And the Tau Nation, Tau community is so strong. They outvoted Ethereum Classic, which I did not expect.
Wow. Wow, I didn't either. I don't even know until they told us we got this opportunity. So yeah, so it looks like community loved the mobile mining. Even the software is actually sucks. There people just suffered on the downloading this thing. Actually, mobile mining is the only thing that I think we're unique from other projects, and it's actually very very difficult technology. It's a lot more difficult than we thought before. So I can.
What's the motivation behind mobile mining?
So first of all, it's a curiosity because most of people don't really have the experience of mining. Many people has the experience of holding coins, exchange coins, spend coins, but how many of them having the real experience of mining a real coin? Do you have that?
I do, because I was lucky, when I was working with Ethereum Classic, I got to set up a node as well and do some mining myself. But I get what you're saying. Participation is very low. If you think about how many people hold crypto versus how many people actually participate either from a node or a mining perspective or even development, that's even lower.
Yeah, so we want to give a common user a experience, or what we call the first contact with crypto mining. So we have to reduce all the hardware requirements and knowledge to trigger this full nodes, and also synchronize with other peers. All those very difficult technology we have to put into a very weak cell phone. That's actually very difficult. And believe it or not, cell phone doesn't really have a real IP address. We have to rely on some advanced technology like IPFS, which itself is still in developing, to relay cell phone to cell phone rather than you're running complicated server nodes on Amazon, which one costs you money. Second, you got to be a Linux guru, otherwise you'll not be able to run the rigs.
Yeah, so, you've never been scared of the new technologies. I know that for sure. So
there are a lot of technology engaged in the mobile mining. So you literally have to write a operating system level complicated code to run a cell phone, because like phone like Android, the system loves to kill your process all the time. When the system feels like you're using too much memory, generating too much heat, it will just kill you. And you have to stay alive, and the customer is willing to just running the phone at a very low battery, and also they're just doing everything terrible to your server, which is a cell phone. So you have to be able to.
You mentioned battery, and I know that there's been a recent proposal for Bitcoin. I think it's called ERPAL. One of the main critiques, when somebody commented about it being able to run on cell phones, was that it's going to destroy your battery, because a node or a miner, a lot of these things need to be running 24/7. How are you kind of addressing the battery part?
Yeah, actually, not only that, the computational complexity, communication, and also the storage requirement for Bitcoin full nodes just sounds like impossible for a cell phone.
Yeah.
So battery just, the kind of requirements for the CPU, memory, battery, storage, it just doesn't work for a cell phone in terms of a Bitcoin scenario. So I think
how does Tau handle, what would you recommend a user do when it comes to their battery? If they're mining, are they plugging this in? Can they use their phone regularly as they would normally? Is there any drawback for it being disconnected?
Well, the reason we can run on regular battery is because we're using new consensus mechanism called the proof of transaction, which is not really computing heavily on the hashing. So proof of transaction is a network random number agreed by all the nodes, so it doesn't cost much computing power. So that's a key reason that we can run on the low battery power systems.
Okay, and now what happens if does somebody need 24/7 connectivity to be able to be a valuable participant, or is it understood that these devices are going to be connecting, disconnecting all the time?
Right. See, this is another trick part. You're basically asking every question is we're like suffering through in past the six months. So that's why we have to use IPFS. We're very lucky. We found IPFS community has really did a good job to allow this thing to be happen. This is what they call a serverless. Serverless is that like you run the clients to talk to each other and through relays, through either some anonymous relay servers. So we're extremely lucky. We almost give up the mobile mining because we found it so difficult to be on and off and even still be try to connect it with anything. But once IPFS coming up, the ability of immutable file system and the P2P lab function, it's encoded in the IPFS, really help us out.
Wow, so that's a good shout out to the IPFS community.
We're very impressed. We're very impressed by IPFS functionality in the blockchain. I think eventually even Bitcoin or some other chains might go to the IPFS to saving the communication bandwidth problem.
I've used IPFS before, and it felt kind of slow. Are you seeing the same thing for your usage?
Yeah, it's like an early internet times. Everything's very slow, but it's just you have to look at the core. So does it do the right thing or not? So IPFS is not only slow, but also it's not stable at this moment, and many of its codes is still in the beta mode. So I think at the current stage we're still very early. We just wish IPFS can grow very well, and also we're doing some contribution to IPFS coding base as well to make it stabilize on something.
Well done. I love it, man.
IPFS doesn't have a Android instance, so we basically have to make a IPF Android instance to be more stable. So that's I believe is contribution to them as well. Actually, we also made a contribution to the LevelDB, which is a database out of Google. They don't really support Android phone that well. We have to, they have clear bugs. The community knows that, the LevelDB community. So we have to fix that problem for the Android phone. So, yeah.
You're taking on a lot. I like it.
Exactly. We're fixing IPFS and fixing LevelDB, and also we're fixing some of the Android, the habits to killing the process issues, things like that. So yeah, a lot of them.
Now, a lot of people watching probably aren't super acquainted with TAU. One of the things I think that stands out is the community size. Last I checked, there were over 300,000 wallets.
Yeah, that's only for TAU. We have the testnet wallets is actually more than 500,000. I have to say some of them are
David,
spammy.
how many of these are real people? Like, it can't be 500,000, right? Like, how many are real people, do you think, if you had to bet?
If I have to bet, maybe I'll take a quarter.
A quarter.
So yeah, so we have TAU, we have 300,000. At the testnet, we have 500,000. So if we take a quarter, let's say 200,000 users. Yeah, I think that probably should be a real number because we have 5,000 miners every day now. So there are 5,000 mining.
And now these people aren't doing mobile mining yet. What kind of hardware requirement do they have?
They are doing mobile mining.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there 5,000. Okay, see, look, if you have 5,000 miners, they cannot run that on Linux. It has to be a mobile mining. So we have 5,000 users daily running mobile mining at this moment. They're just using all kinds of phones. So for me, I have a 6 years ago Samsung is running very well, and also we got guys from Tanzania. He's running a very low end phone with like very low bandwidth, and he still seems happy.
Is
So
that
yeah.
Kriptolab?
Uh,
Is that
yeah,
my
I think so. Yes. Yeah, I'm sure he will be looking at this video. So I know his connection is not that good, but he's still using it. I'm very happy about it. So this is really our design goal. If you don't have Wi-Fi, if you don't have a very strong phone, and you have very limited bandwidth, you'll still be able to become a miner, which is impossible for Bitcoin and Ethereum nodes. You know how difficult to run Ethereum nodes these days.
Oh yeah, there's not that many full nodes. Actually, Vitalik had tweeted that somebody was operating one of those scary full nodes, and that alludes to how rare they are. And I mean, it's obviously somewhere in the massive terabytes. I don't even know what the size is anymore.
Yeah, I think by the end of the day, every community have to think about what contribution they bring to crypto. Like for us, we believe it's a mobile mining, real serverless mobile mining out there. So I think that's something will generate more curiosity, and then maybe a lot of new, better ideas will be generated out of it. So certainly, I'd love to discuss this along the way, because the mobility computing really kick off a lot of communities around the world. And very flexible, very anytime, any device. If you want it, just can plug in. I have friends, they even run this thing on the Android TV.
Oh wow!
Because it's ecosystem, you can run it on Android TV. Yeah.
So, David, I want to definitely, there's a few things that I want to dive into, and definitely the mobile mining. I think we've covered a good portion of it. I want to kind of go back in time to when you started everything, and think about motivation. Motivation. Your motivation back then, when we were working on Tau, it really was focused on the more of trying to solve some of the issues that maybe Bitcoin had and some of the other ones. And how do you think what were your motivations then, and how do you think they've changed to today? What has your view changed into?
I think back into very beginning is we want to give banking experience for those developing countries folks. They don't have a real uncensored bank accounts. So we were even talking about creating a currency that is fast circulation. I remember that. So actually, I think we're still on that topic. We're just being more specific right now, because we'll be able to identify the real problem is the technology issue happening in those countries. So that's why it comes out like one of the key things we identify is that people doesn't have the ability to run a sophisticated IT infrastructure. So we decided, and remember in the beginning, even the community is very supportive. We only have like 20, 30 nodes. It's just very hard because you pay for Amazon, which is very expensive for folks in Indonesia, in Bangladesh. It's very expensive. They cannot afford it. So we just right now, I think we're more specific on the plan we set up a year ago. Did we solve all the problem? Not yet, but I think we're making steady progress.
It sounds like it, and I mean you've got really good answers. I love hearing that the mobile mining's active today. I like hearing that you're contributing to IPFS and you're finding solutions outside of the box, outside of your immediate space. One of the projects I've come in touch with is called Zell. And one of the ways they're addressing what you bring up on the hardware side is, instead of going, how do we decrease the hardware requirement? What they're trying to do is incentivize high hardware contribution. So their node structure is kind of like a proof of stake. So you're staking coins on your node. That way you also devote more hardware power. How do you feel about that direction, about incentivizing people to put hardware and kind of paying them for contributing to cover for those AWS costs you mentioned?
Mm-hmm. I think if we go back to the original crypto currency theory, which is the Byzantine fault tolerance, which means you do need to come up something that is difficult, other people cannot do it. Once you show the proof of you did a very difficult thing, then people believe, this is you did it. So that's the original Bitcoin idea. You just have to be work very, very hard to do it. I think that still holds true in many scenario. It looks like the coin marketplaces, the most expensive coins are still those proof of work.
Right.
So I think they definitely get their new ideas on that line of thinking. But this world is not composed of just one line of thinking. There are other line of thinking, like maybe we have other ways you don't have to work so hard. You still somewhat prove yourself through your algorithm, also the community support. I think that's where the Vitalik is going, because he's moving from POW to POS, and using the voting mechanism to decide who's the real main chain in Ethereum. That's the general direction they're going. I think proof of work has a very good design merits. It's just a matter how you come up effective and efficient, fair way for people to use that. So in our line of thinking, that yes, in the security level, we're definitely not as good as proof of work, but on the pervasive level, there in this world, there are always like trade off. You just don't get everything for free, right? So we know that, okay, proof of work is great, but in order to get most pervasive users, proof of work is definitely not there, because you need a real machinery to do this work.
And when you say
so
pervasive, you're referencing getting more participants in the mining and node ecosystem, not specifically using the currency.
Okay, so I'm more talking about the mining itself.
Right.
Yeah, currency usage, it doesn't matter. If you have a wallet, that's actually, they have some other issues over there as well. Actually, one of the issues we bring this early in the talking is it's very difficult for the nodes to communicate to each other for that scenario. So in our scenario is we just want to provide a new pervasive user experience for typical day-to-day user. Let them feel what it is mining. We got the 7 billion people in the earth, right? So if we just make 1% of them having the experience of mobile mining, I think our community has done a good job in order to achieve that. So even in the future that people think, oh, maybe this consensus is not as good and there may be some potential upgrade, but we have done our job to convince people mobile mining is working, and we got maybe a couple 100 million people had the experience of being a real crypto miners.
So where does Tau fit in connection to a Bitcoin in the future? What's your vision? Is it taking over that position, or is it complementary?
I think it's very complementary because first of all, I keep on coming back to this pervasive idea. So we're just getting more people has experience of mining, and potentially we may try some functionality on our chain. So which is more business scenario can be encoded in it, because Bitcoin is very pure. Bitcoin is just a ledger, the ledger for coins transfer. That's it. That's what Bitcoin does. So because we're relatively easy for everyone to run our system, so they can coding different ideas. Something like recently the DeFi really pick up. So you can try different things. Just look at us as a database, as an immutable database, right? You can look at Bitcoin as a Oracle big enterprise database. You can look at us as a MySQL. It's a flexible, easy to build up your blockchain applications. And a very low cost in our scenario. So I don't see any competition at all. And I think we're just completing the house.
So, right now, one of the things that's happened recently is with Binance is this FUD around the KYC information being caught. One of the things I remember also in Tau is there was nothing connected to KYC. How do you see that moving forward? Do you think it's important that people are able to maintain their privacy when onboarding into crypto? Do you think it's inevitable that people are going to have to give their KYC?
I think we're first talking about two very different creatures. Binance is a centralized exchange. It's a permission base. You have to be permitted to do anything there. A public chain such as Bitcoin and TAUcoin, we're permissionless, which means that I cannot really control who can participate or not. If someone wants to holding our coins or mine or trade, there's no way I can control it. But in Binance, you have the ability to do the control on all accounts. So I think that's the first level of understanding the difference. And secondly, the reason that I think KYC is actually very hard to do, because if you want somebody to hold a paper, some identity with a picture, there's so many ways to make fake pictures like that.
Right.
It's just so many ways to
deep fakes.
Yeah. So for us, I think it's just too much complexity. And first of all, we cannot do it, and secondly, there's no way we can do it very well. So then we just end up in the same position as the Bitcoin, Ethereum. We just let people permissionlessly participate.
Yeah, it's interesting. You bring up also, there's two ways to look at that, right? It's philosophically, I don't want to do it, and then there's the other side, which technologically, I don't think I can do it.
Yes.
So it's convenient. Sometimes we don't have to answer the philosophical side if the technological side.
And now they have a Google AI thing. We can generate a zillion populations of picture, and by look at it, different gene and a different weather, you can come up with new pictures and put on different IDs. Guess where you're going at.
It's scary. It is so scary. Is there another technology like right now that has you super interested? That you're. I mean, again, for context, David's always kind of worked at the edge of technology. Before getting into crypto, I know you were working with autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
Last we were talking, you were in the longevity space. What's the new thing that's caught your attention?
Oh, in terms of new technology or new crypto technology?
New technology.
New technology. Okay. All right, there are so many things exciting these days. I have to say, what's happening in Silicon Valley just eye-catching. It's things happening in every corner of the frontier. So anti-aging is definitely moving forward very fast. So now they're talking about aging escape velocity. So which means that if you'll be able to keep healthy enough, someday you'll be able to catching the aging escape point, which means you basically live your life free of time. So people think that will happen in maybe 50 years. So
wait,
for you, probably it's right on time.
Does that mean I'm immortal? Does that make me immortal? Like I never die if I?
No. If you got shot, it's still going to die.
Oh.
But it's just talking about a technology to bring people to aging escape. It's just like a rocket. The first thing you have to do is gravity.
Right. But
yeah, so we're talking about technology. It has nothing to do with you live for how many years. So once you hit that, you'll be friends of time, and then it's up to you how to use that ability.
So as long as I don't do something stupid that gets me killed, the technology is able to. Is it able to prevent, like some like your propensity to get cancer increases as you get older, right? So is this?
If you already got cancer or cancer stage 2 and 3, it's still going to developing. But if you don't have anything, once the technology pushes us to the aging escape, you probably just stand still over there.
Wow.
So it's just like a rocket. Once the rocket get out of the Earth, achieve the gravity escape, it doesn't really take that much to stay afloat.
So
yeah, so same idea.
Yeah, like what would, today I guess life expectancy is somewhere in like what, the 70s or 80s, I guess.
Yeah, I think average 80 years now. So I think maybe in the next generation, which is 20 years younger than me, probably they should look at 120. So there for sure, they will have the ability of get this aging escape position. So for us, we have to maybe keep more healthy and do more exercise and eat drink healthily. Yeah, but in terms of new technology in the crypto, I think it's also exciting right now. It's we were worried a lot about what's the real application for crypto coins. So now we see the many real world application coming online. First of all, Bitcoin is establishing its gold storage ability. I think it's become many countries recognize that Bitcoin is kind of digital gold. And then actually now Ethereum has been established as a platform for DeFi, decentralized finance. Finance industry is like I would call the number one industry in the world. In many countries, finance industry generates the profit equals to the entire society. So decentralized finance could be a killer application for many main chain, for Ethereum, for EOS, maybe for Stata, maybe for Tron, and all those chains. They will get this killer application as a killer application for enable the most important industry to next level. That's also very impressive.
Yeah, it's not only restricted, I think, to the changes that can happen in finance. I mostly get excited about the non-financial areas of blockchain personally, just because I think we've covered that territory, right? What we haven't covered is figuring out how decentralized applications are going to get outside of just finance. There's just so much metamorphosis happening on the financial side. What happens with the other changes that trust bring us. So I want to kind of do a bit specifically for the Tau community, for the Tau Nation. What do you think? What do you want to tell them? What should they be excited about that's coming up? And who are the members you kind of want to give a hello to and recognize for their contributions?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thank you. This opportunity that I should say very much thanks to our community managers. They've been working day and night, 24/7 for past year. So I'm so impressed by their work. Vincent, Troy, and they're just doing so amazing job. And Kriptolab, he's providing so many nice design graphics for the community, have bring us a lot of fun. And our TAUcoin talk, which is humming, and the traffic flowing to TAUcoin talk is just amazing. I'm relying on that weekly with our users. So yeah, I think we're getting a very strong community, and also all the Telegram regional leaders. I believe we have almost 20 big Telegram group. Many of them speak different languages I don't understand, and also our P2P groups, and it's a self-initiating P2P groups. They're trading TAUcoin crazy right now, and also our contributors from all over the world. So I'm getting this volunteer coding contribution request every day, but be able to give them some meaningful job to do is also very difficult. Our technology is actually very hard to get a speed up. So in terms of what's going to coming up to the Tau technology, so first of all, I still want to say mobile mining needs to be upgraded, refined. It needs to support the IPFS completely. So that's the most important thing we're going to contributing to crypto industry is bringing a real phone mining real coins in the serverless and permissionless mode. So that's a real thing coming out in the future. And secondly, we're looking at some DeFi DAO ability to helping our community to make some real wealth accumulation by holding TAUs. So we're looking for some utility and application on that front. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
You mentioned also the P2P marketplace and the job marketplace. My previous video show, I had an intro, which was for the Ethereum Classic show. That was made by the Tau community, paid for with Tau. Yeah. So anybody in Tau Nation, I need a new video intro, and if anybody can help, I'll please reach out to me. I'll pay in Tau. That's one of the amazing things about it is that it's never been listed. and yet it still has a value and it has a community around it. I think that there's just something very unique about this community you've built.
Yeah.
And that speaks to...
So actually, one of the reasons I want to say it's very difficult for us to get listed right now is because we're still doing the free airdrop. Actually, we'll go back to early days. One of the principles we insist, we want to give people first experience on the real crypto coin, not a token, right? So it's very hard to get a coin these days. Where do you get the free Bitcoin, free Ethereum, free EOS? You don't get it. But yeah, token, you get so many of them. So for real coin, I assume most of people understand the difference between coin and a token. So for coin, we want to give them experience. So because we have this faucet out there, it's very hard for us to list in the real market to get a price right, because there are still people getting for free.
Oh, so the faucet's still on?
Yeah, actually there's so many sign up every day. We're running like average 3,000 to 5,000 wallets opening each day right now.
And where's the primary distribution of users? Is it mostly Asia or Southeast Asia, Africa, Europe?
I think it's mostly our developing countries. Middle East is very big. South America, huge. Southeast Asia, North Africa. Yeah, I think some Russia, some area from the Russian area. So yeah, I think mostly from the developing countries, and they have their currency that is depreciation. Like we have a lot of groups, a lot of people from Turkey. We have a very strong Turkey group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Venezuela. And Brazil.
Venezuela too.
Yeah. Venezuela, Brazil, Turkey. Yeah, those developing countries, they have currency troubles.
Now, a lot of people have told me that they would love to be able to meet you face to face. Are you going? Are you going to? Are you going to be? Are you open to going to a conference, speaking somewhere? How does somebody get to meet David face to face?
Okay, so actually, I want to meet the guys face to face too. But the problem right now is we're too busy, and like every day we're debugging our software. So I want to keep that for a future day that we have a real working. I have to say our software is not entirely working. It has a lot of bugs, and many user experience have to be enhanced. But I want to let the community know that we're working on that every single day to make it really real working. So once we have that day, we definitely should do something.
That's the best answer you can give, because you're a working man. One of the hardest working men in crypto. I love that. No time to go around and network and meet people. I got stuff to do. I got things to build. I've got a future I have in my mind. I love it, man.
Yeah, right after this, I'm going to go back to do my weekly report to the community. We're going to announce something really interesting today.
Okay, so if there's any links you want to add, I'll put them in after. Let me know. I think there's a lot of shout outs that you gave, and we definitely need to do this again, because you have so much insight into so many different areas of crypto. Thinking back to the conversations we had like a year ago, just both of us have evolved so much in like our understanding and like what we're talking about. It's insane. Like,
yeah, I think we still are. We're still in the learning mode. Just so many new things to keep on learning every day. Yeah, just keep on good work, Dean.
Yeah. So, okay, David, thank you for the time, and we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was amazing. That was
great. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just talking to you now. I'm just talking.
Oh, so you can.